You heard on the radio there's a woman who won $1,000 with the best bit of celebrity gossip.
Oh, that's awful.
Probably the angriest I've ever been. Dennis was the next bloke that wandered into my midst.
You'll do, righto. This is like therapy.
Person that I've chosen to be my mum, then
Just get to me. Welcome to the Cracking On podcast with Sarah Roberts
and Sam Frost. This podcast is all about life's big, messy moments and how you just got to crack on with it. I love our next guest, and I'm sure you will too. She has been at the front and centre of Australian television and stage forever. She's one of the most beautiful people. You'll know her from Home and Away, as Rose from Please Like Me, and like a million other things.
I think she's actually like an angel just wrapped in skin, roaming the earth.
Oh, she is giving off pearls of wisdom.
Yes. If you want some great advice, tune into this episode because our next guest, Debra Lawrance, has all the gems.
We are so grateful for you to come in today. Thank you so much. I truly don't know where to begin with you. Sarah and I sat on a Zoom yesterday and we're like, Deb has done so much. You've had a huge career and you've done stage and you've done screens. Where do we all begin? What was your very first acting job?
My very first acting job was when I was 10.
Ooh.
Oh.
And I was the under 10 Victorian 10-pin bowling girls champion.
That is so cute.
It was a bit of a weird contest because it was run by, I think it was by Channel 7, who had like the Happy Hammond show. My prize was a box of Riverland oranges. Like not money.
What?
It was a box of Riverland oranges. And I had to say to a camera, my family and I eat Riverland oranges.
Wait, but that was your prize?
That was the prize. So so it wasn't a job in that I didn't get money for it, but I did get a box of Riverland oranges. The first job actually was in a show called Glenview High. So that was a guestie on a show about high school kids, but way before Home and Away did it. We'd done a little bit of screen work at the ABC in our final year of NIDA, so I sort of knew what cameras looked like. Mm-hmm. Didn't understand anything about editing or, where you stood and all that sort of stuff. I literally learned all of that stuff on all of the jobs that I've done over the years. I just collected more and more information. So that was my first job. And then I toured Australia with the Little Kids Theatre Company, which was really good for me because it was during that process that I sort of grew up. Because when I left, we do a showcase at the end of your year and ours was the first year where we all stayed on the stage in chairs while one of us did a piece front of it, which was because we were a supportive year. So I did my piece, feeling supported by my colleagues. And then there's this tea party with all the agents and producers and directors who come to look at the NIDA kids. And no agents approached me. And the other 12 knew they were already going to theatre companies, but they didn't have agents yet. But they were all approached and I was standing there. And then this guy walked up and he said, oh, you're going to be really good with film. You're very naturalistic, because I did a Sam Shepard piece, which was quite naturalistic. We'd been trained for theatre. I wasn't good. None of us were going to do film and television, thank you very much. And, of course, Steve and Mel went straight on to Mad Max, like the week after we finished. And we weren't really competitive with each other. But anyway, so I didn't hear, and then I got a message from NIDA that Gloria Payton wanted to see me. There's 2 top agents in Sydney, and there was ICS, International Casting Services, and Bill Shanahan. And Gloria's with ICS. So I went in for this meeting in this office in Sydney, and she said, we'd like you to join our books. Yes. And she said, you're going to be very good for television. No. That didn't show on my face. But of course she was absolutely right. The other salient point too is that because Judy worked, she went straight on to brilliant career after she'd done a couple of plays. And at no point, and I say this genuinely, hand on my heart, did I ever feel envious of any of the others working. I learnt very early on that we were all different, that we all had strengths and weaknesses. So if I missed out on a role, I knew I wasn't right for it. It wasn't because I couldn't act. And so when I got a role, I knew that I could act and I was right for the role. So and I've carried that all the way through.
You've never lost that?
Yeah, never. Because there was one role I really badly wanted. And when the girl that got it, she was perfect. I then realised why. We'd been shortlisted, and then I was shortlisted with another really pretty girl for another role, and Channel 7 wanted the pretty girl, and it was a lead role in a series, and the casting people fought for 2 weeks to get me. The pretty girl got the role. But that's okay. A couple of months later, I ended up getting a mini-series about Ned Kelly with the same director, and with George Noddy Miller, who's Snowy River Miller. And he said, I knew I'd be working with you one day. So, and that was a much better job than the other job. So, yeah.
Wow, isn't that?
Anyway, so that's like a really convoluted way of telling you what my first job was.
No, but I love that because I think that's a really important point for a lot of actors. I struggle with that a lot, actually, when you get that close to something and then it's out of you and someone else, and at that point it's completely out of your control.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't ever find out why, if the other actor was prettier or
you just have to know that it's a business. And once you realise that, and I mean, look at you guys. You know, of course, you're made for the work, absolutely. So you would have been given roles that other girls would have lined up to do, so they would have missed out, and then you guys would have been chosen because you can both act and you're both gorgeous. Do you know, like you have you have the credentials, where there are people who look right but are not very good. And also the other thing too is experience in front of a camera. Do you know, like you can't. You know, that's why some people, like there are women particularly and men actors who retire because they haven't had a consistency. Producers and directors, when you walk onto a film or television set, they need to know that they don't have to do stuff with you. You just know your work.
Yeah. Well, where did you learn that then? Because you said you didn't learn that in drama school. So which show, because you've worked so extensively, which show do you think you started picking that up on?
Yeah, I probably at NIDA, I remember them with the ABC studio, the 5 weeks we did or whatever it was. They said, always be good to your crew. And so I started talking to the crew, not stupidly, not like, excuse me, can you tell me what the boom mic does? It wasn't that stuff, but just I would engage them in conversation and they'd tell me about the size of the shot. So you help them out by knowing where the editing shots are. And then much later, I learned about lenses from Meryl Streep. I worked with her on Evil Angels or Cry in the Dark.
Excuse me.
Yeah, amazing. I've worked with her 5 weeks. She was amazing. 2 weeks rehearsal and 3 weeks shooting. It was a dream to work with her. Like it was extraordinary. It was one of the most extraordinary experiences of my life. When I first got the role, Fred Skepsey, beautiful director, came out of his office. He said, welcome aboard. I may as well throw you in at the deep end. Meryl's meeting Lindy for the first time in my office. And I went, okay. So I went to the door and I was expecting to be overwhelmed by Meryl Streep, but I was more overwhelmed by Lindy. Her energy, this force of nature, extraordinary woman. After she was put on trial, Lindy was put on trial, they toured Australia to church halls and things to give the true story of what had happened, to collect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a travesty of justice, really. It was awful. Anyway, so Fred said, Lindy's going to tell Meryl what happened on the night, so you could, because Sally was there, so you can come in and listen. So I sat down in a lounge chair like this with Lindy on the floor and Meryl in a lounge chair like this on the other side and a little relief map. And so Lindy told the story. And there was one point where she got to the point where she saw the baby in the dingo's mouth through a bush, and her finger stopped on the relief map. And I looked down and I could, in my peripheral vision, I could see that Meryl had looked down as well. And Lindy, these big tears, silent, absolutely silent. And Meryl and I just looked at each other and then back and then continued the story. I left and then we got together for rehearsal because whatever we put on film had to be exactly what had happened in the transcript of the trial because they were going for compensation. So everything had to be legally signed off. And I remember Meryl came up to me as soon as I entered this hall where we were rehearsing. She said, Debra, what about that day with Lindy? I wanted to put my arm around her, but I just couldn't. I said, it's okay. She's a nuggety little bugger. I just, like she's so feisty and so she's an incredible woman. Incredible to put up with what she's put up with. It's just amazing.
I love talking to actors about how they learn because I find it I become, well, I'm not a trained actor. I've just learnt on the job. But I find myself feeling too self-conscious if I know exactly what's being shot. So I just trust the crew to do their job and I'm just going to do mine. So it's really interesting to know that you like knowing exactly where you are sitting. What about you, Sarah? What do you like?
Yeah, a bit of both. If I'm not, and it depends what mood I'm in as well. Like if I'm in my head and have, you know, demons in my head telling me that I'm not great, then I prefer not to watch things and I just trust I always trust the crew. I'd prefer to trust the crew then. But if I sometimes I like to know, especially if it's an emotional scene, if it's going to be close up, I want to know if I want to save my bullets for that, for the close up.
I want you to trust yourself.
I knew you were going to say that when I said that.
Yeah, you're both so clever. Like, just own it.
Thanks, Deb.
Just like, it's really important to own your talent, own what you can do. You can do stuff that other people it frightens the crap out of them, because it means that you're then comfortable in your space in front of the camera. So it's whatever makes you feel comfortable so that you own that space in front of the camera.
How brilliant that you went to the Meryl Streep School of Acting. That is so incredible.
Well, I think, but she works technically, but she also works emotionally as well. Like that's why I think she's so special.
That's actually a good segue into, well, it makes me think of what we were talking about when we were looking up Rose, the character Rose.
Oh, yes. For those of you who haven't seen Please Like Me, Deb plays Rose, who has bipolar and manic episodes. And I reached out to Deb. I was so touched by your performance. My mum has bipolar and I've witnessed that many times. And I just thought your portrayal of that was like, it gives me goosebumps. It was so touching. Even at times I found myself getting anxious, and sometimes I actually was like, this is actually a bit too much, because like it was so accurate. What was your process like? How did you prep for that, and how did you do it?
Yeah, well, it all comes from the script, and also because I've been asked, and I remember your message. It was so lovely to get it. Todd Abbott, our producer, and Josh had done all of the work. Like, they'd gone to the Melbourne the Black Dog Institute and Melbourne Institute, and they had witnessed manic episodes and of course Josh had witnessed his mum, because it's his mum that's based on. Fred Skepsey let me ring Sally in, but he didn't want me to meet her. And I did get some interesting intel for one of the scenes in the film about Lindy Chamberlain from the conversation I had with her, but I wasn't about to copy her. I think Fred was afraid that I would, like, try and that's not what I'm there for. But so it's in the script. And so the manic episodes were written probably without punctuation at all. And then I researched the effect that lithium has in the body. So the effect when you're full blown in your manic, I researched just what happens physiologically in the body, like hormonally, what's happening in the brain, what's happening with the central nervous system, which basically all we're here to do is to represent what's going on in the body of our character. And of course, our nervous system gets engaged, right? So, but if you understand, like, I want to cry, then that signal to the audience, so they see my face go like that, they hear my voice go, I don't know. And it's a limbic, the very primitive brain response, but it's given me a bit of a chill because I've engaged my central nervous system, but I can recover like really quickly, do you know?
Wow, yeah.
Right. And is that how you hop in and out of the characters?
Yeah. It's just, and that's survival. That is absolute survival. There's a lovely thing circulating on Instagram at the moment about Chloe Zhao from Hamnet. Where she does that Beyonce thing where they all do dance breaks. And it's what she's doing, because they're doing, like, it's somber material. So then they're able to just, including the crew, everybody, just shake it out.
Great.
How sensible. Yeah, women need to go back to ruling the world, for heaven's sake.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a no-brainer.
Have you ever gotten stuck in any characters? Like, have you worked that way from the start of your career, or did you learn that the hard way? Did you get stuck in a character perhaps at the start of your career and you couldn't get out, or has that always been the way you've been able to work?
when we were doing the Ned Kelly series, because it was and it was a beautiful script. It was 8 hours of television, four 2-hour episodes. John Jarratt playing Ned and Sigrid Thornton playing Kate Kelly. I played Maggie, his sister, and it's a true story. So we all bond and are bonded for life. Like all of us feel like siblings. Like it's a very deep attachment, and it's an abiding attachment. It's 46 years ago. Well, holy hell, it's 46 years ago. Anyway, so we did bond over that. So we did feel very connected. The emotional scenes in that, like there's the scenes where they hanged Ned in the old Melbourne jail where he was hanged. I guess the most we did was that we shot the crying, like the goodbye crying scenes. And so I was overwhelmed but recovered, like overwhelmed in a good way, because Maggie, they all came in one by one in his cell to say goodbye to him. True story. So that place has got the ghosts in it.
Yeah.
And so the goodbye scene was very emotional. We all sat in the stairwell opposite JJ, John Jarratt, so he could feel our support, because he's walking out onto a gallows with a rope round his neck, and then and he has to say, such is life, and then the thing's pulled down, and they obviously didn't hang him. There was just a sound of a trap going. But we all sat in the opposite stairwell at his level, and so we were all there, us cast in our civvies, just to normalise it. When we cried, it was very moving. So that's probably the closest I've come to really carrying something. And also, I'll bang on about this till the cows come home, you have to be completely prepared before you get on the set.
I don't think people understand. Like as you said, like you have to be prepared, because you go to set, they're shooting things, they're turning it around so quickly. So if you're not prepared, you get left behind. If you're not a good person, you get kicked out. Like they don't have time for horrible people who are take their time up themselves. That's why there's so many nice people that come from the show and who are still like friends of ours. But yeah, I think that's really cool.
And you also met your husband. I'm sure you're probably really sick of talking about this, but
love him.
Well, can you please tell us about that meeting?
Look, this is another. It's probably going in the memoirs. But just as I started Home and Away, a person that I thought I would end up with in my life. We'd been together in the early 80s, and I thought we'd maybe find our way back to each other. It was probably fanciful, but I was moving back to Sydney, and I thought, well, he lives there, that's fine. But he died. He went missing at sea, and it was awful, just truly awful.
I remember you telling me this.
Yeah. And so it was like I was absolutely grief-stricken, because I thought I had this vague notion of a future that wasn't going to happen. But apart from that, he and I absolutely stayed in touch with each other and were dear, dear friends. So I'd lost this person that we loved each other very deeply when we were together, and also as friends as well. And it just knocked me for six. And it was like this moment of clarity where I went, what do I want? And I wanted a Golf GTI, privately imported with a proper 1800cc engine.
Oh, yes, Deb.
Right?
Get it.
And a baby.
Yeah.
How old were you then?
33.
Okay.
And I was really clear about that. Like it was like the universe had said, oh, right, now that we've woken you up.
Yeah, great.
This is what. And Dennis was the next bloke that wandered into my midst. So
you'll do, righto.
So they auditioned all these really famous Aussie actors in the right age group, some of whom I'd worked with. And I walk in, there's this guy in a black leather jacket and a black T-shirt and black jeans. And I've gone, oh, I didn't know who he was. And by that stage I'd worked with everybody or knew everybody. Yeah, hi, how are you? And we did the scene and it was great. He was a bit nervous but not too bad. And then in the cab back up to the studios, when the studios were up at Epping, I remembered that I'd seen him the year before in what was then the Australian Film Institute screenings. But I'd seen this film called Return Home, and he was the lead in it with Frankie J. Holden, Ben Mendelsohn.
I love Frankie J.
Yeah. I'm thinking, who's this guy? He's got the lead. Why have I not seen him before? And so on my way back to Epping, I went, oh, my God, it's the guy from Return Home.
Yeah.
He's he's really good. So no mobile phones then. So I raced up to Andrew Howie, our producer's office at that stage, and I said, you've got to book that guy. He's really, really, said, Deb, Mullina's said the chemistry was dripping off the walls. They've booked him. They've sent the contract out. So, oh, good. One day he was standing in the doorway of the Ross house, what became the Ross house, and he was going backwards and forwards because there was light coming in through I said, what are you doing? He said, oh, I'm just making sure I'm not standing in your key light. And a little too loudly in front of, the crew's about, 20 people? I said, don't be silly, darling. You're far too short to ever be standing in my key light. No, you didn't use that accent, but that's what it felt like to me.
Yes.
And he just went like this, and part of me went, where did that come from? Why did I say that? And there was a couple of other instances, and so he rang me at home and he said, look, we're going to have to work together for the next 3 years. Can we talk about this? What? About what?
Oh, you were giving him
about
attitude.
what? And so anyway, so I didn't realise I fancied him then. We just started socialising really. And then after a couple of months of this had happened, and I think we sort of decided we rather fancied each other then.
Great.
And then but it was in secret. Like when we secretly got married 18 months after we started going out. And Matt Stevenson, who played, I can't remember his character's name, which is very naughty of me, but when we got onto the set to announce in rehearsals that we'd married on the weekend in complete secrecy, nobody knew. He said, God, I didn't know you guys were dating. I said, yeah, good. Well, we're clever. And I think that was because he was happy and performing. I think he didn't say, will you marry me? He said, let's have kids, which is what I wanted to hear.
Oh,
and we got married a month later. So
that's a beautiful
story. It's a good story. It's a bloody good story. But look, it's also, relationships they're hard, but I think just accept they're hard. Accept the other human being in their totality, and we can fight, don't get me wrong, but it's forgiven sometimes in a minute.
Wow, that's good.
Oh, well, you can say really awful things to each other because you're letting off steam about something, and then you'll say something like, did you check the mailbox?
Yeah.
And the other person doesn't go, no. They go, nah.
Yeah.
Which means signal that it's all okay. Or if it's been tough, we apologised, I'm really sorry. I had to learn to apologise. I'm not good at
Yeah,
I'm such a bossy.
Too,
well, I think it's because women don't need to apologise, basically.
I know, because we're always right. So why do we have to know?
we're always right. What can I say?
I know. Yeah. So learning to say sorry, that's a big thing in our.
Yeah.
I had to, because I found Geordie loves to solve problems straight away, and I don't. I need space and time.
Yeah.
And so we've had to try and learn each other, and I think that's also the thing as
but
well,
that's
right?
the process,
Trying to learn how you work through fights. And we have to say sorry.
Sorry.
Sometimes it's like comes out like a bit more like that. But
when you're with someone who makes you feel safe.
That's right.
In all of your moods, with everything, all of the crap.
Emotionally safe. That's so important.
Yeah.
What I love about you guys too is that you're still both so attracted to each other. I love it.
Yeah. Well, because he's an attractive man to me.
Oh, it's so nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So nice.
Do you have any tips for long distance relationships? Because I'm about to enter into one.
Oh, right. No, I don't. Yeah, I think it's all individual. It depends. Because I think the unspoken thing, the elephant in the room, is that one or other of you will fancy in a moment with too many Prosecco's or something in a bar and decide to go home with someone or, hit the silks with someone or be attracted to someone. So that's the elephant in the room. Like a long-distance relationship, they don't say, I'm having a long-distance relationship and I'm really scared that he's going to go and sleep with somebody else, or he's really scared that I'm going to sleep with somebody else. Like there's this thing sitting beside it. I think you address that. You say, there's this thing. I've got this thing sitting on my shoulder and it's like, and no matter what happened, like they're going to be tough anyway. So it's about trust.
Yeah, Jake and I have already discussed that, which is brilliant. That's what I love about him. I feel very emotionally safe with him. We can just talk about anything, even if it feels or seems ugly.
Exactly. Well, that's good. And the other thing too is that if you are a divine goddess for him, then anybody who comes in, any woman who comes into his sphere is going to make comparison and go,
she is a divine goddess to him. I've seen them interact, and he thinks she's the best, and she deserves it.
And that's the basis of a good relationship, regardless of how far away you are from each other. Basically, it's having sex with someone else, right? That's at its basis, right? And that's a whole thing about kissing their face, taking your clothes off in front of another human being or part of their clothing, depending on what's happening, and then the next hour or morning or it's a whole, who could be bothered?
I think it's often there's a lot of steps before you can actually have sex with someone.
Exactly right.
That is very intimate.
Yeah.
So even before the sex happens.
Oh, yeah. So if it's someone like that who goes through that whole process, you don't need to be with someone like that.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? It's like just as long as you keep the sparkle of remind them about what you love about them. And that's just shiny, when someone's pouring, even if it's through a phone screen, and reminding them of how much you care and how valuable they are, and, oh, thanks, things like, oh, thanks for saying that. I really needed to hear that. You're so good at that sort of stuff,
Yeah, that's right.
Which is, you can't touch them, but it's a way of verbally touching people.
It's so beautiful, isn't it? Because that's what intimacy is these days.
Yeah.
With Zoom and FaceTime and all of those things. You have so many pearls of wisdom. You have so many.
One thing that we ask all of our guests on the show is to tell us about a time or share a story of a time where they've either been divorced, broken up, or had some sort of, bottomed out in life, and how they've had to find their way out of it. Is there something that comes to mind when we say that? Yeah,
I miscarried 4 babies, but I was pretty pragmatic about that, because if they're not supposed to stay on board, they're not supposed to stay on board. The second lot were twin girls, but I wouldn't say that I'd hit rock bottom with that. Potentially I could have. And I acknowledge that the pain that we all go through with miscarriage, and hormonally you go through a real journey. I'm pretty clear about if your body's not working for pregnancy, then there's a reason behind that. So that made it a little easier to deal with. It's still awful, and because you create a future for the babies that you think you're having. So there's a very special kind of grief. What I'm going to say now is could sound a bit puerile. I actually had a bit of a crisis towards the end when I was doing Harry Potter in Melbourne. And I got really, really sick, and it turned out to be mercury toxicity.
Wow.
Because I was eating too much fish, like canned fish and fresh fish. That was my protein for years and years. And I just gradually got weaker and weaker. And so being on stage was frightening me. And because I had to do the trolley witch on top of the train, which required a lot of vocal energy and spatial referencing, and I was losing my balance a bit. So I was in a bad place physically, which then frightened the crap out of me. So that was like, and so I had a series of panic attacks about going on stage because I didn't feel connected to my body. So that was pretty terrifying. Like, it created a lot of anxiety for me. When my dad died, that's a whole other story. That's a whole other podcast, which it's a whole period of my life. Because he was brain damaged when I was 7 and he died 19 years later.
Wow.
And but he didn't know he had 6 kids. So he didn't remember us because it was his frontal part of his brain. So after he died, because I'd never really resolved a relation, I'd never had one with him. And so I kept thinking that I one day would talk to him and hug him and tell him I loved him. Strangely enough, just before he died, I was starting to think that. I didn't know he was going to die. And then he died. That was pretty bad too. But the climbing out of that was, I just discovered naturopathy and a spiritual teacher whose work I use. So that was a bit of a turning point.
To get through the grief? Is that what you used to
and
get
also
through
guilt that I hadn't done it earlier. And then also learning slowly after. I then got into a lot of spiritual practice and not meditation, so I'm doing that now. But just reading, and through the spiritual teacher whose work that I was led to, really clear stuff about just don't engage, like just drop it, stop holding on to everything, which is easier said than done. But it's a guide, to enter into a way of being that is easier, So then I started to really appreciate all the other grief things, like when my mum died and when my sister passed away with secondary breast cancer, and then when Andrew went missing. Do you know, there were all these.
Yeah.
You know, so then I had the tools.
Yeah.
Do you know, because I think it's like in the industry how you learn technically or whatever. Life's the same. That's what wisdom is. You know, being 69 years of age, I've collected wisdom that now makes my life easier. Do you know? Like everything's easier to deal with because I'm aware and awake and know which drawers to pull open for the things that I need.
Yeah, that's
but
a great way.
You know, where you guys are now, I was probably I didn't know what I know now when I was your age. So,
wow.
I think it's exciting.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Look,
Yeah.
love, please. You guys are entering a time where you're going to, like all of those Naomi Watts and Nicole, all those girls in Hollywood are now doing menopause. So they're all making it, or perimenopause. So they're all making they're banging on about it. And then there are women now we're going to start talking about having white hair and wrinkles and turkey neck and stuff. So we're all going to bang on about it as well. Jamie Lee Curtis is leading the charge. So, you know, we're coming for you guys.
Yeah.
But we will be very kind. We'll be very, very kind. We just, you know, just play golf. Just go surfing. Let us run the countries.
Yes, please.
Let us do everything. Then we won't fight with anybody. We won't kill anybody's sons and daughters
Yes.
because they're too hard to make in your tummy.
Yes.
Just saying.
You're just so brilliant, Deb.
I think you're the best.
Can we circle back to when you spoke about your miscarriages? And thank you so much for sharing. That was also another conversation that we had in the Scrublands catering tent. My question, I guess, is I'm like collecting tools for my toolbox. Does that pain, because you experienced 4 and now you've got Grace and Will, does that pain ever change? Because I've experienced 2 miscarriages and I know, you know, I think you said to me the baby just had the wrong map. And I know I absolutely wasn't with the right man at the time. So in the end, it was a blessing in disguise. But it's so confusing to me because I still feel the pain. I still know what day they would have been born, how old they would have been. I see like my like little kids in my family that would have been the same age. Does that pain and that feeling ever leave your body?
Yeah. Sorry.
Do you know the answer?
Yeah, well, we've said but sorry for yours too, darling, because it is a big thing. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's what when the twins was hard. The other 2 was my last year at home and away, and I think we probably shared this. Did I say I miscarried on a Friday after the end of the studio day?
Oh,
and then
you didn't tell me
had the D&C in hospital on the weekend and got back to rehearsal on the Monday. Nobody's the wiser. Yeah. And then a couple of months later, exactly the same thing. My body went, oh, no, we won't do this until Friday afternoon. And so because I was engaged in work and we were wanting to have another baby, I've come up with a medical life. And so I understand there are blighted ovums or babies that just don't attach. So much the same way as I researched physiology and all that sort of stuff for my acting, I also research, you know, food intolerant. Like I'm obsessive basically about everything in a good way. But so I knew what was happening in my body. So I absolutely knew about, you know, the attachment to the uterine walls. And if it doesn't attach, then it doesn't. I also understood the psychology of the fact that you project into the future, that you go, oh, and at that stage it was like, oh, well, yes, I'll be pregnant towards and I'll have to leave home and away, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And the second one happened and I went, right, the way I dealt with it was I need to get out of the electromagnetic energy in this freaking studio.
Yeah.
Like from a holistic point of view. So I was less attached to those babies or those forms that had formed, because about 11 or 12 weeks that they went, which is normal. You know, some go earlier. But then the following year, Dennis and I were on tour because I'd finished Home and Away, and I was towards the end of the tour, I was really sick. And I thought, and I'd missed a period and I thought, oh, I'm pregnant. I didn't even tell Dennis because I thought, oh, well, I'll just wait to see. Didn't tell my mum. And then we were driving, Grace was with us on tour. We were driving out of Port Augusta in our car because we took our car with us. And we didn't travel with the other actors, not because we didn't like them. It's just we had Grace, and we had to pull over the side of the road because I was going to vomit, and got back in the car. Grace was asleep in the back, and Dennis looked at me, and I went, "Yeah, I think I might be pregnant." And he went, and he was really pragmatic as well, really, really good and supportive. And I said, "I'm so sick. It's probably twins." I joked.
Oh.
And then got to finish the tour, got back to Melbourne and had a scan, it was a 10-week scan, I think, and it was twin girls, identical twin girls. The girl we found out at 12 weeks. This beautiful ob-gynae man who did the screening, and because I was 42 and you're old, like you call it a geriatric primip. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I think you only have to be 32 for that. He said, "I'll come back, we'll do another," because I didn't want to do chorionic villus sampling for because that's for genetics.
Oh, the chromosome.
Yeah, they do that very early on at 12 weeks. And I said, no, because there's a risk of miscarriage. And I said, no, let's not go there. So I thought that's fine. And to shock, I rang my mum, didn't tell anybody else at all. And then went back at the 16-week mark and we knew they were identical and one of the heartbeats was missing. And so the guy said, Richard, his name was, he said, look, they're identical, which means that the other one will succumb as well. So that was, I felt very sad. I'd already named them and was worrying about university because it was 16 weeks. Like, how are we going to send them to university? Because they were going to become doctors and stuff. They're going to Nobel Prize winners. So you plan into the future. So it's your grief, I figure, it's your grief for the future that you'd planned, which has occurred in your brain. We went back a couple of weeks later and the other one had gone. And then it took a couple of weeks because to get an appointment with the doctor at the women's hospital to take them out. But by that stage, I lived with it and I just sat with it because of my spiritual teacher's learnings about just sitting with it and letting it go, just let it go. Not meant to be, and I was happy with that. When I went in for the second scan, there was a woman in the change room who clearly recognised us and was a chat, and she's pregnant. But they were also screening for cancer and various other gynecological issues. I was waiting for the twins to be removed, and I went to my sister's birthday party, and my sister-in-law hadn't told anybody. My sister-in-law said, "What's this? I hear about you being pregnant." And I went, "No, which is true. I'm not pregnant. I was no longer pregnant." I didn't say that. I just said, "What is?" She said, "Oh, Alex, my nephew. He heard on the radio there's a woman who won $1,000 with the best bit of celebrity gossip."
Oh, that's awful.
On a radio station, because she'd seen us, and she was there for an obstetric, so she assumed that Pippa and Michael from Home and Away were having another baby.
Deb, that's
and
awful.
I was so if you talk about rock bottom, now that I tell about that story, that wasn't rock bottom, but that was probably the angriest I've ever been.
Yeah, that's so
Do you
horrible.
know, like I really, and my mum said, and Dennis said, don't. I was going to phone the radio station, and they said, don't, just let it go. And I really had to breathe in like a Buddhist and let that one go. Anyway, so with the twins were taken out, and the doctor said, he came up to see me in the hospital room afterwards, and he said, normally we say that to wait for your next period and then try again. He said, "But you're not getting any younger, Deb." So, which was fine. I laughed. It was okay. It was true. And so, of course, we tried again and we got William. And then, of course, when they arrive, you realise it's the baby you've been waiting for, and he's this gorgeous human being. So what I've got to say in that long, involved story, Sarah, is that the pain is your mind still projecting into your created future that you created, which doesn't exist. Right?
Like
that means you can undo it. You can go, you can put fairy dust over the top of it and go, no, they're still up there. They're still, this person, this little one is still waiting to come in and still waiting to land.
Yeah.
But they've just gone, I'll wait, mum, person that I've chosen to be my mum, I'll wait, they've said. So if you start seeing it from that point of view, then it makes it instantly, if you really enter that, it makes it easy, you know?
I guess maybe deep down too, it could be a longing. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
you know?
and don't underestimate that. Like I had it when I was 27. I thought I would have babies then. At 33, Grace was banging on my door. Like, yeah, him. Meet Dad. Yeah, good. Dennis? No. Dennis, she'll leave. You know. So, yeah, like if I believe that if you're with someone that wants to have children with you, then there's this, who knows? I don't know what's up there. Who's to say they're not up there?
I
think babies are.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. I mean, this podcast isn't about me, so we're going to flip it around in a second, but I am with a partner who doesn't want children.
Right.
So there are all the things I'm sort of playing with at the moment, what do all these feelings mean? And
right. Well, if this is just none of my business, but I'm going to weigh in. If that longing is really in you, it means you're being called to be a mum.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not making it up. It's not because Charlize Theron did it or, Uma Thurman or anybody else. We're not becoming – there's a longing. It's biological, for heaven's sake, and you can't deny it. And also, back in the old days, we chose. We didn't. The crone, the matriarch of the tribe, before the patriarchy took over. I love men. They're not the enemy. The patriarchy took over and put us so that they put rules around women. Before that, tribes for 200,000 years prior to that, in all of their forms, right, were matriarchal. So meaning loosely that it was the women who ran everything. And the old crones were the ones who used to see, like in First Nations law, LORE, there's 4 skin groups, and there are 2 you can't marry into, because that's why they call auntie, uncle, even remote cousins and stuff, so that that your skin group is. And back then, women, the older women, the matriarchs decided who in all tribes, Vikings down, they decided who could go with who to keep, and the young men were sent away. I'm so sorry. Just play golf. We don't, it's a big issue. Like, we don't need them. We don't need a lot of them. Speaking quite controversially now, and I don't care. I don't mind if you can send me bad mail. I don't mind. Men. I just think we need to be very gentle around men, because I think they're quite fragile and quite frail. Not physically, but I think they have absolutely no idea where they sit now. They've got no idea, and it's frightening them.
I'm learning so much from you women. I'm learning so much.
I mean, did you feel like that when
Yeah.
you guys got together? That was the father of your kids?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I've spoken about this before, but I always felt like there was a piece of me missing. And I know so many women are different, but for me personally, I was sad for a really, really long time, and I didn't know why. And then I had my babies, and I was like, I was waiting for you.
I remember working with you on Hell's Kitchen. You were not in a good place,
No.
and I was glad that we were always able to rally around you, and I felt very protective of you during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were so beautiful to me during that time. Yeah. And I've had Sarah's helped me through that time. So many beautiful women have helped me through that time. But then I got my babies, and I was like, oh, this is what I'm waiting for. And this has given me purpose. And they're the best. And so that's why I spend as much time as humanly possible with my babies.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as I met him, I was just like, guess what?
Yeah.
I want my babies. Thank you.
Yeah, good. But now you are that person for the other women.
Yeah.
You are that person. Like, it's that's the way it should be. If you've gathered experience, then you pass it on. Because that's why women share stories.
Yeah.
It's because we're checking in with each other all the time, And they think we're gossiping. They call it gossip. I mean, there is gossip, but the natural desire to gossip, like about what someone's done to their face or whatever, it's not that. That's what women choose to gossip about, but they're actually checking in with each other about how you're feeling. It makes you feel as though you belong in a gang.
Yeah, totally.
But there are really interesting books now about all of the things that women have achieved and they've been lost. Their names have been lost. Or men put their names in the books for scientific research or medical research or whatever.
I've seen a lot of them. Genevieve Hegney and Kerry Armstrong and you. There's so many great female actors who have been who have come through the ranks before us that have been sliding into my DMs and sending me all these amazing videos of women who have lost their titles, who actually invented things or came up with brilliant ideas. And I think that's what I love about doing this podcast. We're speaking to so many people and really like cracking open people's hearts, and they're telling us they feel safe enough to tell us vulnerable stories, and it's not just about what someone's done to their face. Or, you know what I mean? It's
this. I have to say, from my point of view, this has given me the opportunity to. I tell those stories to people, right? To chat, dressing room Harry Potter London, all of just my back history if they ask. But this has given me a platform to share it.
Well, something we ask all our guests before we wrap up is, do you have something that cracks you up with laughter, like really gets into your guts and makes you...
Bits of Instagram I really love
that
just make me giggle. And there was one, I can't remember what it was, but it's those sorts of things. And there's the two little babies. Have you seen the two little video babies?
No, you have to send it to us.
Oh, my goodness. It's AI. And so part of me goes, no, this is so wrong. This is so wrong, but it's really funny. There's these two, a little boy and a little girl, and they're little tiny babies, and they've been AI'd to the point where their mouths, everything, and it's realistic, right? And they're dressed up in the country of where they're visited. This week we're in New Zealand, and we can't wait to try the such and such. And we've had, I give it 9 stars out of 10. And
I have not seen these babies.
You've got babies. You might go, oh no, don't do it, don't do it. It's like, it's compelling. Like my younger sister couldn't watch because it's too wrong.
Yeah,
and it's better than polar bears flipping their cubs onto ships. Do you know all that other? Do you know all that other crappy AI stuff? Just don't do it. Do you know? And because there's a whole lot of crap out there. But this is so beautifully done and so charming that that makes me laugh. Like I've got a very weird sense of humour, and so yes, but that cracks me up. I love silly stuff.
Okay,
like I really like, which is why Dennis is a clown, like a born clown, which is my big. Apart from physically attracted to him, he's also like laughter is a healing force, and he can make people laugh like a drain. Like he's got a one-man show that he does, and we've taken it to the people who were living up in Marysville in a village after they'd lost their homes. So we waited a year after the 2009 fires, and we took the show for free to them so that they could just have a bloody good laugh. And then also great. He was invited up by a council up in northern Victoria for the farmers the farmers who had been really badly hit, a lot of suicides and stuff. So they hosted a barbecue for the families and put Dennis's show on for them, and they all just laughed. And they were like these shiny people afterwards.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah,
it's so healing.
That's really special.
But that's the man I'm married to, which is why I'm still married. He still makes me laugh.
Oh. That's great. I also think that's a key to a great relationship.
Yeah, laughing together. Oh, yeah, God, yeah.
Do you want to have another laugh? You can choose a fortune cookie from our fortune cookie bowl. No, that's true.
It might kick something off, and I'll tell you another incredibly long story. I haven't got my glasses.
Okay, I'll read it for you. Okay. Oh, gosh, this is a small one. I mean,
a long one.
You are Confucius
Confucius is right.
When we see people of a contrary character, we should turn inwards and examine ourselves.
Yep.
There you go.
Absolutely. Let it go. Don't take it on board.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't take it on board.
That's good, isn't it?
Just let it go.
There you go.
Let it go.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
What a pleasure, you guys.
We love you so much.
I love you guys.
Oh, thanks, Deb.
Yeah.